So, good evening again, and thank you for joining the third webinar of our fraud awareness series. If you were not on the first two sessions, I am Adriana with Health Advantage Credit Union, and I am the presenter for this series. If you have not already, I would highly suggest that you register for the last session. We will recap resources from all sessions as well as include some additional resources. We will also go over a couple worksheets we will have available to use that may help you protect yourself or someone you know from fraud or scams. The presentation will begin at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, and if you do miss it, we will have a recording available at a future date and time, and we will email when available. A couple of housekeeping items. You will be muted throughout the presentation. If you have any questions, please place your questions in the chat at any time. I will review at the end of the presentation. If you do experience any technical difficulties during the presentation, please know that the presentation is being recorded and you will be able to access it later. So let's get started. The topic we are reviewing this session is protecting your information. A quick disclaimer, this information is for educational purposes only and not legal advice. Today, we are going to break down some of the information that is valuable to scammers and the risks when this information is compromised and tips on how you can protect this information both physically and electronically. Please note that there may be additional steps you can take on top of what is within this presentation, but this is a good base to start out with. And another note, everyone is unique. So while I will be going through lists of ways you can protect your information, know that some items may not apply to you. And ultimately, you know best where your information is stored and what will best help you protect it. So let's dive in. For the purpose of this presentation, we're generally defining personal identifying information as social security number, maybe your social security, your physical social security card, your physical government ID, and the information that's listed on there, your full legal name, your ID number, your date of birth, address, and maybe even like your birth certificate documents. So if this information were to be compromised, what is at risk? Well, identity for one, which can be used for a number of malicious things, such as opening bank accounts, loans, conduct medical fraud, or cause you to have a criminal record through the scammer using your identity to commit crimes. Your credit can be damaged temporarily or difficult to recover from, and your overall financial well-being could be impacted. This information is highly sensitive and extremely valuable to scammers. Having your identity typically means a payday for them, but it could also be a way to evade law enforcement or, again, to maybe commit medical fraud. So how can you protect this information? Keep all personal identifying documents or any type of documents that have personal identifying information on them that are not in use in a locked and maybe even a fire-proof safe. Shred all documents or mail that have personal identifying information on them that do not need to be retained. And I know at the credit union here, we do have shred bins, so you can always throw your shred in our bins and that gets taken care of weekly also. Monitor your credit report regularly for any unusual activity and notify the credit bureaus immediately if you notice anything unusual or if you become aware of a potential compromise. You may want to place a fraud alert or credit freeze on your credit to protect it. You may also want to contact ChexSystems to place a alert or freeze on your consumer banking report. And also limit the places that you provide this information to. when you can. While some places regulatorily have to gather some of this information, like financial institutions, by reducing the number of places your information lives, you also reduce your risk of potential compromise. If a business says the information is optional, just don't share that information. When we are talking about contact information, we are generally talking about phone numbers, emails, addresses, but you could also include any other communication channel you use in this section. You could even include social media communications. A scammer wants your contact information to bombard you with scam messaging. When you hear of a merchant having a breach, oftentimes they will get that contact information. And think about how many places you give that information out to. It is very likely that your contact information is in the hands of the scammers. They may send scam messages through email, that is called phishing, through text, that is smishing, or they may make phone calls, and that is called vishing. Unfortunately, it's highly unlikely that you will never receive a scam message or that your contact information will never be compromised. So for protection tips here, we are primarily looking at ways to reduce your risk of falling victim to a scam message. So protection starts with always making sure you are going directly to a source. If you get a message from someone or a business, contact them the way you normally would so that you can verify the message. Screen your calls. Don't pick up when you don't know the number. I promise you it is not your friend. And delete. This is partially a proactive tip. So delete any accounts where you have contact information or sensitive information that you don't use any longer. This can reduce your exposure. Also know that sometimes scammers are relentless and they are crafty. So sometimes they will bombard you with calls after a scam has occurred, or they may even pretend to help you with the scam you just experienced and then scam you again. This is called a revenge or scavenger scam. Unfortunately, sometimes if you are in this type of scenario where you're being bombarded, you may want to consider changing your number or email address depending on how they're contacting you, as they will continually change their numbers, so you may never be able to fully block them. Remember, don't click on any links or call phone numbers that are listed in a message, and that just ties back to always going to a direct source. And seek out advice from your phone, internet, or email provider directly. Refrain from using search engines when you are trying to contact any of those companies, because a lot of times there are fake phone numbers or websites out there trying to then scam you. So go directly to this source again and go to that site or call the phone number that you always call. And see if they have any additional free or paid services that may help your security or decrease scam messaging. So I want to just stress one more time this topic in this series while we're talking about going to a direct source, as this is a very important habit to enact. To go directly to a website, to call a number that you already have in your phone or that you have from when you originally opened an account or had that relationship, to go to that direct source content. Because again, a lot of times with the search engines, you end up potentially falling upon some fake phone numbers or fake websites. So think of a web address as a business's physical address. If the address is not the correct address of the business you're trying to go to, no matter how similar it looks, you're going to go to the business that is the legitimate physical address, not to the address and building that is pretty close to the real thing. It's important that you check the web address, just like you would check that business's physical address before you head out. As you can see, the business on the left has slightly different address, and you also see a slightly different web address. There's also a person pretending to be the owner, John. So in summary, the point I want to get across is always check the URL before you go to a web address, or simply just type in the actual full web address before, instead of doing any sort of a search engine. As a note, these web addresses are just for illustration purposes. They are not real websites. Now, let's get into personal details. This may include family member names, important dates or places, like maybe your hometown, favorite things, and even your pet names. By sharing this information publicly, you are increasing your risk for someone to be able to maybe guess a security question answer, or they may even be able to guess your password if you're not using a strong password. We'll talk about passwords a little bit later on. You also put yourself at risk for more tailored social engineering tactics, where someone can more easily pretend to be someone you know, or maybe act like a new friend, acting as if they have all the same interests as you and gaining that trust. To protect this information, change any social media settings that you have that are public to private with any of these details. Delete any personal information that does not need to be shared online privately or publicly. Also, be careful about who you accept to access your private profile. Conduct research, such as photo searches through Google, and see if they have friends in common or if they have an unusually low number of friends. Reach out to the friends in common that you trust and see what their thoughts are on the person, or another one of your trusted contacts to take a look. And choose difficult security questions that would not be publicly known, or maybe more something abstract that only you would know. Technology capabilities have increased, including AI in particular, especially in the creation of deepfakes, which are extremely realistic identities that could be pretending to be someone you know. Looking at images and voice information, this could include videos posted on social media, photos posted just anywhere online, voice recordings, or it could even be when you answer a phone call and maybe there's a scammer on the other end. So deepfakes can make you think you are talking to a person you know. It could be maybe even the CEO of your workplace or a friend or romantic interest. They can make it look like that person's face is even on that FaceTime or that Zoom call and that they're talking to you. And they can mimic the voice, the movements, and the full appearance. They can even pretend to be you. So you could experience a call also that sounds like someone you know, or someone you know could experience a call that sounds like you. Scammers can create, fake social media accounts as well. A long lost friend, maybe a distant relative, or even a celebrity romance scam profile. And again, they can even pretend to be you. So some of the ways you can protect yourself and others from falling victim to those deep fake scams is to create a code word between you and your close family member or friends that identifies you. In the case you ever receive an unexpected message or call or FaceTime that looks like them, but something seems off, or they're not contacting you from their regular phone. And again, if they don't know that code word then that you've shared with them to verify each other, then just hang up and contact that person the way you normally would. Conduct background checks on new friends. Even if you think you know them, contact them another way if you have other contact information for them also. And again, you could conduct image searches for other profiles. Screen calls again here. Don't answer if you don't recognize a number. They may be after a copy of your voice to then use later on in a scam. Also, if a voicemail is left on your phone from an unknown number and it sounds like someone you know, just go ahead and contact that person on the normal contact number or however you normally would talk to them. No matter how urgent it might sound, because again, a lot of times scams, they try to get you with that urgency. Set social media accounts to private again, so scammers can't find those photos or voice for any videos or images that you have up. And again, delete any content that was previously public if you no longer want to share that information. Or again, you can turn it into private information. So looking at financial information, so this could include like the institution where you have the name of the institution where you have accounts. This could include card numbers, account numbers, the pins to the cards, the security codes on the back of the cards, and much more. So what is the scammer after if they get this information? Well, likely money. They may also impact your credit if they are successful in conducting a full account takeover and fraudulently taking out loans. So with steps to protect this information, make sure to secure any documents with financial information or cards as well, and PIN numbers in a secure location locked where no one else can get that. So again, maybe using a lock safe when you're not using those items. So if you're not regularly using a card that's hanging out in your purse or your wallet, just store it in that lock safe. Never share banking information with anyone other than a joint owner. Never share with a friend or a family member, or place on an online merchant account that is not in your name. So such as like a kid or a grandchild, if they have an account with, say, Amazon, and they want to buy something and you put your card on there and you don't take it off, a lot of times that can cause a headache when you start seeing some additional charges on your account and you might not have remembered to remove that information. So best practice is not to add your financial information to anyone else's account that they don't own. Maybe make that purchase through your account for them. And try not saving financial information whenever possible on online sites. A good way to do this is by completing a guest checkout using a digital wallet such as Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, or Google Pay. And just as a note, Health Advantage's debit and credit cards both have the digital wallet capabilities for those three. And that provides that extra level of encryption of the card number instead of that merchant potentially storing that card data. And lastly, for this one, also check payment terminals for any sort of tampering. Just kind of take a look. A lot of times, scammers like to go after gas station pumps. So just taking a quick look that there's no tampering that's occurring, there might be like a tiny little camera or some overlay over the card where you insert the card. So just making sure that you kind of take a look at it before getting your card out. The other thing you could do is if they do take digital wallet again, that way the card number is not even out, so they can't get that information. So once scammers have some contact information and a little bit of financial information, they have that perfect recipe to conduct a believable financial institution imposter scam. And I know we talked about that a little bit in the first session, and I kind of just wanted to bring it back a little bit here and take a different look at it. So we want to take a look at how a scammer may get your information and then perform this type of financial institution imposter scam. So it's possible that there could be some hacker out there that hacks a couple businesses. And the information in both can be cross-referenced to then create profiles of matching information to get a complete profile on that person that gives them enough information to commit whatever scam it is that they want. So in this case, we've got business A and business B. Business A's got an email address and phone number for this individual, and business B has a matching email address, but also has the name of the individual, the last four of a card number, and a financial institution name. So these two merchants are hacked in some way, and then that information lands on the dark web. And the scammer goes to that dark web and purchases this information and sends a text message to that number, realistically sounding now like a financial institution, even placing the last four of the card number. They don't have the rest of it, but they have that last four to make it really seem legitimate. So again, these types of breaches might not result in maybe full financial data being compromised. However, if you want to understand these scams a little more, this is kind of how they occur. So again, there's multiple merchants that get hacked at different times. This person has this amount of data over here. They have this other data over here. They cross-reference their data mining in the dark web, and then they get enough information to make that complete profile and then run whatever scam that they're going to do. So just to give you kind of a little bit of insight of how that process can happen. And scammers, of course, want your login credentials. And the bad thing about login credentials is a lot of times we like to use the same username. We like to use the same password across various sites. The problem with this is if you are using the same username and password across multiple sites, if that information ever gets compromised, they might be running your data across multiple websites, and it could just be this automated process that they've got running, and they could eventually compromise one of your accounts. Maybe not online banking, but it could be like a merchant account that you have a payment card on file. So just that's something to keep in the back of your mind when you are creating a username and password. And we'll talk again a little bit more on that. And they're after a lot of times your banking app, but they might be going after a online store website as well, Amazon or Target or any, big brand name where they can maybe purchase gift cards even. Whatever they can get out of your account. And with social media, they might hold your social media account hostage until you pay a certain amount of money. So when the scammer has your credentials, your money is at risk. Your personal information can be at risk. And that could result ultimately in identity theft and impact your credit. if they ever get the chance to take out any sort of loans on your behalf. And again, until the issue is resolved, and again, that process can be timely and take, and not fun. In the next few slides, we are going to go through some additional protection tips on login credentials. So first off, we don't ever want to share our credentials with anyone, whether that's our family member, our friend. We don't want to share with anyone, even if they say they're going to deposit money to your account. Never share your credentials. Those are yours. Secondly, multi-factor authentication should be set up on any account that allows for it. Whether it's online banking, whether it's some site that you purchase from, if they offer multi-factor authentication, which is just like a second step after you've logged in with your credentials to verify it's you, this will help prevent if your credentials are ever out there on the dark web and they're running your credentials through sites, this would help protect them from not getting in there, because that security code is going to be sent to your phone number, your email address, and then they won't be successful in getting into your account. Also, with public or free Wi-Fi, just if you can, never use public or free Wi-Fi, even if it's password protected. If you are logging into one of your online shopping accounts, your online banking, essentially anyone in your vicinity could potentially be seeing the exact login credentials that you are typing, if they know how to do that. So a lot of times public and free Wi-Fi is not secure. And again, they can just see that plain as day and then steal that and get into your accounts. So passwords. So we came to the password piece here. So make sure all of your devices, especially, and I should say devices that keep sensitive information, all are password protected. And again, payment information, if you do the digital wallet, that should be password protected. If you keep any sensitive information on that device, it should be password protected, and that should not be shared. And ultimately, I know this is probably not going to be everyone's favorite advice, but using a different password for every account is going to make you more secure. And changing those passwords regularly, especially on the accounts that hold sensitive information. So payment information, any sort of personal data, changing those ones on a regular basis and using a strong password. So a strong password is going to be something that's completely random. No words, no kids' names, no pet names, just jumbled up letters, numbers, special characters, upper and lower case. And at least 16 characters is the recommendation. And lastly, the use of a password manager instead of writing passwords down could, help protect you a little bit better. Or if you're using just a Word document to keep your passwords, that's not really secure because it's not encrypted. So a password manager might be something you could consider to use in the future, especially because, you're not going to necessarily remember all those different passwords. So a password manager, though, would help you remember all of those because it would just be in one little place. So here are some password manager options. I do believe these ones are all paid options. But these are some items that the National Cybersecurity Alliance had noted as some good options if you are interested in taking a look. And then there's a couple research websites if you want to look at any other password manager. Again, if you are interested in that, just make sure to do research. If you're looking at a free one, very much research to make sure that it is a good password manager before you download anything that could be compromising. And also make sure to update the software on all of your devices, again, that you're holding any sort of sensitive data on, any device that you are shopping on, any device that you're putting your personal information into, any login credentials into. The updates will take care of security vulnerabilities and bug fixes. You just always want to make sure you are on the most up-to-date software. And another item you can take a look at for security purposes is securing your home Wi-Fi network. Just taking a check and making sure that your home Wi-Fi network is encrypted and that no fraudster out there can hack into that and then end up installing malicious software that then infects all of your devices. So I did put a link there. If you go to ftc.gov, they have a nice little article about securing your home Wi-Fi network that might help you out. And potentially consider using security monitoring software just to make sure that nothing does maliciously get downloaded onto your computer, and it will stop that process from occurring. And the last item I have on here is to stay away from public device charging stations. It might seem convenient, but they do place chips in there sometimes that can then actually compromise your device. So if you can, bring a portable charging battery pack to charge your phone if you know that you're going to need to charge it at some point in time. And just as a general note, again, contact your device manufacturer or service provider on any security questions you might have as far as like security monitoring software, like does your device come with it? Do you have to purchase something separate? They are going to be the ones that can give you more of those recommendations on those topics. And again, I know I've talked about this before. A good resource for anything cybersecurity is staysafeonline.org. So I do recommend taking a look at that if you do have any questions on cybersecurity. And just a few additional resources that I wanted to provide you with. So I know we've mentioned checking your credit report. For any of those that have premium checking with Health Advantage Credit Union, you do have ID Protect, which gives you that credit monitoring as well as scanning your information across thousands of databases. So it helps with that. But you do need to make sure that you are signed up to receive all those great benefits. So you do have an online account to access those monitoring systems. So, and then if you do not have premium checking, there is the annualcreditreport.com. Again, if you're interested in premium checking to get the ID Protect, we can definitely assist you with that. And for checking login credential compromises, this is a resource that you can go to if you want to see if your email's ever been in a compromise or if your password has ever been compromised. So that might give you a good idea of, I better change my password, or that's why I'm getting all these scam email messages and maybe I want a new email after all this. And then just a last item here, Google Alerts. If you ever want to just monitor if your name has gone anywhere across the internet on a regular basis, you can set up a Google alert of your name just to see, again, if anyone's got your information and anyone's posting your information anywhere. All right, we have come to the end of the presentation. Thank you all for listening, and I do hope you had a few takeaways. And if anything, again, I said this before, please remember to share what you've learned about scams with others and how to protect your information as well. Because the more that everybody knows, the less likely we will fall victim to scams. And again, in the final presentation, we will be bringing everything together, revisit resources that are available, and providing a couple worksheets that may be helpful to you in the prevention of fraud and scams through assessing your own responses to various situations and assessing your security practices.